2020 meeting of the Woodstock Community Unit School District 200 Board of Education. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we have a roll call, please?
Dr. Bidwell. Here. Mr. Ferris.
Present.
Mr. Gilmore.
Here.
Mr. Headley.
Here.
Mr. Humble.
Yes.
Mr. Maselli.
Here.
Mr. Parisi.
Here. Before we begin with our consent agenda, I'm sure you all heard of the passing of a longtime board member, Bob Birchfield, who died last week. I believe he was a board member for 25 years. 20 years, and he had previously served on a board at Displays for a significant period of time. It's about the longest time I've ever heard of anyone serving on a school board. He was an integral part of this board, an integral part of this community. I first met Bob through Rotary, and then he sat on this board for several years before he finally retired. I'd like to take just a moment of silence to remember Bob before we proceed with the meeting. Thank you. First item on our agenda then is our consent agenda. There is a consent agenda which you had a chance to review, and the items to review as well as an addendum. Do any board members wish to pull any items from the consent agenda?
I'd like to pull 2.1.
2 point, both of them, or just 2.1.1?
I took both of them. Sorry, 2.1.1 and 2.1.2.
Thank you. Any other items to be pulled? Okay, if there are no other items to be pulled, and you've had a chance to review it and are satisfied with it, there's a suggested motion on page 1 of your materials.
Move to waive the reading of and approve the consent agenda as printed in the board agenda, except for 2.1.1 and 2.1.2, but including the routine personnel matter addendum dated January 7, 2020.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Parisi, seconded by Mr. Headley. Roll call, please.
Mr. Parisi.
Yes.
Mr. Headley.
Yes.
Mr. Maselli.
Yes.
Mr. Ferris.
Yes.
Dr. Bidwell. Yes. Mr. Humble.
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore.
Yes. Okay, then the next item on our consent agenda is we need a motion with respect to items 2.1 for the approval of minutes from the meetings of December 10th. There's a motion in that regard?
Move to approve the meetings minutes of the meetings of December 10th, 2019, as printed in the consent agenda, items 2.1.1 and 2.1.2.
Motion by Mr. Parisi. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Maselli. Roll call, please.
Mr. Parisi.
Yes.
Mr. Maselli.
Yes.
Mr. Humble.
Abstain.
Mr. Headley.
Yes.
Mr. Ferris.
Yes.
Dr. Bidwell. Yes. Mr. Gilmore.
Yes. Okay, next item on our agenda then is our recognition.
We're incredibly honored tonight to have musicians from our choir, band, and orchestra programs here with us to be honored for their performance in the ILMEA District 7 competitions. We have 29 talented musicians from our programs. They were selected this year in the District 7 music group based upon auditions sponsored by the Illinois Music Education Association and ILMEA. District 7 is comprised of most schools in McHenry County, all of Lake County, and some parts of Cook and DuPage. It's generally considered to be the most competitive of the 9 districts in Illinois. So we have high school achievements, middle school students who qualify for LMEA junior choir, junior band, junior orchestra. We're going to have junior band, junior orchestra, junior choir, the District 7 band, District 7 orchestra, and then District 7 choir. So we want to congratulate our musicians along with our incredible staff that facilitates this. Our choral directors, Brian Doziak and Megan Kemp, Tony Pfeiffer, our band director, Rich Stiles, and Bill Kramer-Simpson, Amanda Storr, and Linda Bastian and Stacy Sabatori from Oklahoma. We ask the board to honor these students and our staff here tonight.
There's a suggested motion on page 30 of your materials or board book.
Move to introduce the following resolution. Whereas the Board of Education of Woodstock Community Unit School District 200 wishes to recognize the contributions of these individuals And whereas District 200 has benefited as a result of these accomplishments, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education of Woodstock Community Unit School District 200 hereby bestows special recognition and a certificate of achievement on behalf of the citizens of the district.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Parisi, seconded by Mr. Holmes. Roll call, please.
Mr. Parisi?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Headley?
Yes.
Mr. Maselli?
Yes.
Mr. Ferris?
Yes.
Dr. Bidwell? Yes. Mr. Gilmore?
Yes.
All right, well, after each student, we call your name to come up here, and for each group, we'll take a group picture when we're done. So first, we're going to start with the ILMEA District 7 Junior Band, and we'll do band and orchestra together for one picture. So for the junior band, we have Alexander Straw. Okay, 1 second. And then we have ILMEA District 7 Junior Orchestra. Christian Edelman. Annabelle Groves. Jacob Ruder. Larissa Vitale. Move over to the middle, get a picture for our junior band and orchestra. Parents, feel free to come on up, we'll keep them up here. All right, congratulations again. District 7 Junior Choir. Alfredo Cabrera. Yeah, right there. Jacob Crown. Sophia Haggerty. Camilla Kay. Alexandra Lang. Sapphire Nyberg King. Anna Regna. Grace Ribby. Renee Schuderman. Kennedy Treleving. Okay, move over just a little bit. That's our group. We get a big group picture. Parents, feel free to come on up.
In the back. We don't short people in the back.
Congratulations, great job. ILMEA District 7 Band. Elizabeth Arnold. Olivia Piglicelli. All right, that's it. That is the District 7 Band. Parents still come on up, you got time. District 7 Orchestra. And I should point out Elizabeth is from Woodstock High School and Olivia is Woodstock North. District 7 Orchestra from Woodstock North High School, Annie Balin. From Woodstock High School, Fiona Frawley. And from Woodstock High School, Ian Matthews.
Not working.
Okay, we'll do. Okay. Congratulations. And we have one more District 7 Junior Choir, because we had two stuck together, so I apologize for that, but Keaton Parrish. All right, now we have the ILMEA District 7 Choir. First, from Woodstock High School, Kaylee Beckman. From Woodstock High School, Lucas Burns. From Woodstock High School, Haley Shelberg. From Woodstock High School, Chris Crenshaw. From Woodstock High School, Evan Fioriano. From Woodstock North High School, Samantha Kaiser. From Woodstock North High School, Jared Ritter. From Woodstock High School, Thomas Focus. to acknowledge quickly, we had all-state level acknowledgement also. We had Fiona Frawley, All-State Orchestra. Kaylee Beckman and Chris Crenshaw, All-State Choir. And Thomas Focus honors All-State Choir, ranked one of the top 5 baritones in all District 7. And all of our students for an amazing job. Your parents, thank you for supporting them. And thank you to our staff for doing a great job facilitating as well. Thank you so much for coming.
Okay, next item on our agenda is the consent, our public comments. We used to take a break at this point, let people leave, but you're already doing it, so wait a minute.
Fiona.
All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next portion of our meeting. The next portion of our meeting is communications. This is an opportunity for the public, staff, and board to make comments to the board. We'll start with public comments. If you receive any sign up, is there any member of the public here who wishes to address the board at this time? Are there any staff comments? Any board comments? Okay, then we'll move into our superintendent's report.
All right. We want to welcome everybody back. So we know it'll be an enjoyable and fun and exciting 2020. Back in school yesterday and back to being full force today. So the kids are back right out of ready to go. We're excited about the start of the second half of the school year. I want to make everyone aware of the upcoming District 200 Education Foundation Dinner fundraiser on Saturday, February 8th in Harley-Davidson in Woodstock. The event starts at 6 o'clock, includes dinner, both silent and live auction items. Proceeds go to the District 200 Education Foundation, in which they allocate the money to many grants for each fall teachers in District 200. The Sue Calmore Award of Excellence, which is given out each year by the foundation, will be awarded to Bob Packmore. Bob was a 35-year educator in District 200, teacher, coach, and then finally principal at Creekstown. The opening principal and principal of the building before he was going to retire. So we excited to see Bob honored for an amazing career in District 200. And just so we'll reach out to the Parrish family. Unfortunately, in education today, we see more and more of the ransomware, kind of being held hostage, cyber terrorism, and we're continuing to take steps to try to do everything we can to mitigate. And George can give you more details if you have questions, but this is our step to try to do that, to really have a data backup and then disaster recovery for a variety of reasons. Not cyber terrorism or disaster recovery also, it could be a natural disaster. Tornado hits, whatever, fire, any kind of natural disaster that can destroy our infrastructure. We want to have backup and recovery. This is a contract for those different activities.
So the primary difference between this and what we already have is this is a system-wide backup system that also has off-site backup. Is that where,
it's a couple steps different.
Yeah, so it upgrades our current backup device that we currently have as part of it. In addition to that, it provides us with cloud-based storage to be able to then back up the backup essentially. And then also, in addition to that, if something were to happen where we couldn't restore from the backup, we could actually run remotely our mission critical software such as Lawson, our student information system, transportation system, and that stuff off-site in the cloud until we were able to then restore whatever we had internally. So it provides us with that kind of that fail-safe. In addition, it gives us the ability to be able to back up a year's worth of information. So if something were to infect our network, we would hopefully be able to go back far enough to be able to a point where that infection wasn't there, restore from that point, and not lose everything in the process. So it provides us with some good backup and security for our data. And so much of what we do is electronic and digital nowadays, that to have that, to move beyond what we currently have now, which is just simply an appliance backup, makes a lot of sense.
We have a lost site at all at this point.
Currently, no.
Anybody else have any questions or concerns or comments? Okay, if not, there's a suggested motion on page 33 or on board book.
Move to approve the proposal from Alliance Technology Group LLC for a 3-year agreement with Unitrends for data backup services and disaster recovery as a service for $37,825. Second.
A motion by Mr. Parisi, seconded by Mr. Headley. Roll call, please.
Mr. Parisi?
Yes.
Mr. Headley?
Yes.
Mr. Maselli?
Yes.
Mr. Ferris?
Yes.
Dr. Bidwell? Yes. Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore?
Yes. And next is the approval of the application for school maintenance program grant.
The state's offering money for school maintenance, and when they're offering money, we get in line. So I think the specific material to bring on here is to replace roof at the middle school. They're only going to reimburse a portion of it, but this qualifies for the project. We've been encouraged by state legislators to apply. We had a project that qualified and this roof qualifies under the parameters of the grant. So it would be matching funds, but obviously to replace the roof, we would be matching it. 10 to 15%.
Any questions or concerns? And suggested motion on page 35 or board book.
Move to approve the application for school maintenance project grant.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Holmes, seconded by Dr. Bidwell. Roll call, please.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Dr. Bidwell? Yes. Mr. Maselli?
Yes.
Mr. Headley?
Yes.
Mr. Parisi?
Yes.
Mr. Ferris?
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore?
Yes. Yes. Okay. Approval of an intergovernmental agreement by and between the city of Woodstock, McHenry County, Illinois, and Woodstock Community Unit School District 200.
So, I think the board's familiar with the background, but we'll go through it. The city has imposed a TIF. As part of that, the residential areas can be built with TIF. Obviously, I don't think it was the original intention necessarily of the legislation, but it's come of it, and it is legal. Therefore, it becomes important for us to protect ourselves against what we would see as being the largest potential problem in TIF, being a large residential development that would send students, in large numbers to our schools without getting the corresponding increase in taxes. And once again, the TIF freezes whatever we get before the TIF was enacted. We get that for the next 23 years. But if someone wants to build, whatever kind of housing, as that increases in value, we don't get the increase. The city gets that. We knew that was a concern. We shared that throughout the entire process. The board instructed and Carl voted no, and we're given the opportunity. We did everything we could to make it clear that we don't think this is proper use of TIF, but it's not our choice. So at that point, it became our opportunity to say, what can we do to help protect ourselves? And that's where we work with the city on an intergovernmental agreement that we have in front of you. Basically, what happens is, no matter what happens, when students come, we get by statute the tuition amount, our full tuition cost minus where our EBF, our evidence-based funding is. So for us this year, about $11,300. I think it's we used to have, but I think it's about 11,300 today. That'll increase, you know, if our tuition costs increase, which does periodically, then that'll increase. We get that per student per year. And by statute, up until that point, we can take it the first 25% of TIF revenue. We get that no matter what, by statute. So when students got coming, we do have some protection. So that money's going to run out in a large development if numerous students come. So what this agreement then does is, in the first 5 years, we get that 25%. However, any students that come that we're not reimbursed for go into an account where we're then owed that money. The city's then giving us credit for the 11,300 per student per year for those first 5 years. After the first 5 years, we take an additional 25% of the TIF revenue, so now we're at 50%. No matter what happens, they have 5 years, at which point they think they want to have developers be able to do things with that money. So after 5 years, we get now an additional 25%, so now we have 50%. After the developers paid off, and we don't control over that, but developers typically, they tell me they want to be paid off sooner rather than later, which would make sense to me, I guess. Whenever the developers paid off, then we get an additional 25%. So now we're taking up to 75% of the TIF revenue to make us whole, both for what we get in that individual year, so then also for what would have been accrued in the previous years, whether it's in the first 5 or after. Maybe, you know, if the large number comes in the year, in years 6, 7, 8, 9, they don't pay it off completely, whatever it is, they continue to pay it off until we're made whole on that note. But one caveat, right, it's an agreement, and Dean will tell you that, so is this everything we wanted? No. I mean, but it's protection for what my worst case scenario is, which is a large residential, you know, 100 single family homes producing children without tax revenue coming to us. That would worry me. That's my worst case scenario. This provides some protection against that. One caveat we put in was if it's a development under 7 students producing, this doesn't go into effect. We still get the 25%, but the additional money doesn't kick in until they go over 7, which protects them. Because, you know, they're going to want to tell us that there's developments they don't think they're going to produce students, and that's fine, but we still need protection. The 7 gives us some leeway that they, you know, if it's under 7, they can pay the developer off however they see fit without having to pay us additional money. And once it goes over that, then the additional 25 after 5 years, and when the developer pays an additional 50 up to 75% kicks in. So it provides us potentially the protection we want against a large residential development producing students. You know, again, the administration stands the entire time has been, we don't want residential development TIF, we think it's dangerous school system. We don't control that. So that the city, they didn't have to, but they agreed to negotiate with us, and this is the agreement that we worked out. You know, Dean's done a lot of these, you can speak to it, answer any questions you have. You know, I think Dean and I spoke about it many times. We think it provides us protection. It's not perfect. It's not, you know, it's not a perfect world. It's not exactly what we want, but it provides us a protection against residential development, which is what we see as our biggest liability going forward. The city council has approved this agreement last week.
Do I agree that if we were to build another facility that we would have to come up with another, this is not fully cover any residential?
No, it doesn't.
It does.
Yeah. The only thing it doesn't is pre-existing. There's 2 things that we put in there that doesn't cover a small house. They have land on that in there, and then the current through the Wilmar building is part of that. Where they now it doesn't, and because they'd already made an agreement with the developer, yeah, they're kind of, if you produce a student, we can go back and ask. You know, what we did there is we looked at the rents there. We're told they're going to be $1,300, $1,400, $1,500 a month. We looked at Emerson Lofts as being a comparable rent. I can't say it's going to be comparable apartments, but it's a comparable rent. And for 50 units, that produces, I think, 3 students 2 years ago, 4 students last year. I mean, it would be covered by the 25%. We can't guarantee that, but potentially. But every agreement going forward, if we pass this, every development send more than 7 students on this agreement in the TIF, if it receives TIF funds.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Okay, I have a couple, and they might be directed to Eugene too, so either one of you. Is there anything that prevents a developer from developing in phases in such a way that it would be less than 7 students, but over and over and over again within the TIF district, so that they can say, we're evading that 7 student number? Is there anything that prevents them from doing that, other than maybe practicality?
Well, I suppose if the developer divided up their developments into small units to keep the number of students down within each one, and if the city enters into a separate agreement for each of those smaller units with the developer, that could avoid some of the money, but that would, it's hard, I mean, I assume, without having the experience as a developer, that to do that would also engender a lot of additional costs that would be less efficient financially for the developer than larger developments.
And the number of 7 is based upon the students that are actually in the development at a given time. Is that correct? Each year we have to analyze how many students are in the development within the district.
The agreement points to there's a date, October 15th, and we have to report the number of students that's incumbent upon us. So if that number is 7 or greater, then we expect it to go to.
Correct me if I'm, the way I'm reading this is that we are eligible for up to the total cost of education for the students after 7, based upon the formula that's set forth in Article 2 that says this is how we determine what the cost per student is, and that is where we're capped. There's nothing above that. We don't get anything more than that at any time. And even if they don't declare a surplus, we would end up having, if they declare a surplus later, but had not done so in previous years, they would be basically reimbursing us for the extra additional cost of that student above the amount that we're reimbursed by the state. Is that accurate? That makes sense?
Yes.
And that's
I believe the answer to your question is yes.
okay.
The 25% is a statutory requirement.
Right.
That will apply to all new students. But then in terms of additional amounts to try to reach that higher level of total cost per student,
Right.
They have agreed in here to things that are not required by the statute.
Right.
And that is to generate additional funds for the school district to defray the expense of those new students by declaring surplus.
Up to the cost of the student, but not above that at any point. Or the cost in arrears.
Well, but it's not, it's not calculated. What they do is not tied to a one-to-one student. It's tied to the total amount that the city owes the district.
Sure.
So, in that way, it can spread the cost out over years and students.
Okay. Is the city under TIF law required under any circumstances to declare a surplus? Do they have to declare a surplus, or can they just simply say we don't have one in a given year?
They are, by this agreement, contractually bound to declare surplus in the percentages that are in this agreement. Now, surplus, the term is used in the TIF Act to refer to money, TIF revenue, that a city doesn't need for costs of development. It is incumbent upon the city, under this agreement, not to overextend itself to developers, thereby creating a conflict between the demands for surplus in here, the commitment to declare surplus in here, and the other costs that they have assumed responsibility for in assisting developers. I have a question here.
Yeah.
Are we doing this based on the average cost per student?
It's a state.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So
It's the average cost per student, yeah.
Right. Okay, so what happens when the student is a special needs student, and that isn't the average cost per student, it's double? Is that accounted for at all?
No.
So we'll get hit at that way. Okay, just wanted to know that.
Although, I mean, technically, on some of that is reimbursable, but, I mean, if you're talking about an IEP,
Yeah.
some of that's reimbursable by the federal government also.
Okay, so we don't,
It's an increased cost.
it's going to be a cost to us a little bit.
Yeah, it is, absolutely. I mean, there could be a number of factors, that's an average, anytime it's an average.
Right, that's-
Research could give us a half hour on this, I'm sure, but anytime it's an average, there's lots of things you're factoring in around. So there are a number of situations you can come up with that would cost us more, and some of them would cost us less.
Okay. On the whole, do you think this is a good agreement?
Yep.
You're happy with it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Dean, for that comment. Where is it that it says that the city is required to declare a surplus? It talks about upon the calculation of, but I don't see anything that says specifically that they're required to ever declare one. And that's where the question came from.
Hold on a second. Okay.
Go ahead.
In section, Article 3, section D, bottom of page 3. Okay, so the agreement provides that for the first 5 years, the district will receive the 25% statutory payments. Then after the 5 years is up, so section D begins upon reimbursement to the developer of each residential TIF project for 5 years of an amount based upon incremental taxes generated from the fully assessed residential TIF projects. The incremental taxes generated from the residential TIF project thereafter shall be distributed as follows. Number 1, this is the statutory payment. The school district tax allocation from the incremental tax revenue shall continue to be paid. The word school district tax allocation, for purposes of people here who are not familiar with the language, that is the statutory payment. That's the term that they've come up with to refer to that 25% capped statutory payment annually. So that's the first step. And then, small number 2, small I, double I, to the extent payment of the total cost of education has not been satisfied from the school district tax allocation, the statutory payment, the city shall declare surplus as permitted by the TIF Act for a maximum of 25% of the incremental revenue to pay any amount owed toward the total cost of education remaining after receipt of the school district tax allocation.
Got it.
And that percentage goes up after the developer has been fully reimbursed. Goes up to 50%.
So that Article 3, paragraph D, sub 2 is the part where it's mandating the declaration of surplus. And in other sections,
And
corresponding
other
sections.
sections that follow.
Does anybody else have any questions, comments, or anything?
What happens if there's no surplus?
And then it can't be paid to the district.
Because there's no guarantee there's going to be a surplus.
Well, I mean, I guess it's not a guarantee, but the creation of, again, if no students come, we don't get any money anyway. For students to come from this, there'd have to be an increase in EAV. I can't think of a scenario in which we could get students out of a TIF resident without an increase in EAV, right? Because if you build homes on empty land, that increases the EAV, so that automatically creates a surplus because it's tax money that didn't exist prior to the correct?
TIF revenue is tax money that didn't exist before. It is incremental. It is on top of the base. So it's new money that's being generated, new property taxes that are being generated on the development.
So in summary, what it sounds like this agreement is this is what we have now with a little bit extra. Is that accurate? I mean, if we were to remove, if we were not to do anything with this, we would still have the amounts that are set forth plus 25%, but we would be capped at 25%, and that would be it.
25% that is the cap on the statutory base.
Right.
Yes.
And this
You're
goes
entitled
beyond
to that under the statute.
Right.
This provides more money to help defray the cost in the event that the statutory payments don't do the complete job.
Let me just throw out there, after 5 years, it gives us 25% additional, and once the developer pays, which we don't know or control, an additional 25 pays this time.
Any other questions or comments?
Well, I guess, though it is a compromise, I think it's a good compromise, and I think it's also good for our city, which is good for us. I think we have to understand the big picture too, so I kind of like what was negotiated, and I would agree with it. I want the city to do well too, and this allows for that, as well as us being covered, so I think this is a pretty positive thing, so thank you.
And I should tell you that Superintendent Bone did also negotiate.
Only if it works.
Sorry. I'm giving you credit. I'm giving you credit.
Thank you.
All right. Does anybody else have any comments or questions or concerns? And I think I agree with John, Mr. Henley on this, to the extent that we're in a situation where we're facing the TIF district, regardless of whether we like it or not. And this is a movement in the direction, and frankly, I'm pleased that the city came to this, was willing to work with us on this and not just leave us hanging. So from that perspective, I'm in favor of this. Any other questions or comments? If not, there is a suggested motion on page 36 of your materials or a vote.
No, let's open the.
Oh, okay. All right.
Move to approve the intergovernmental agreement signed between the City of Woodstock, Montgomery County, Illinois, and Woodstock Community Unit School District 200 as presented in board book and dated January 7, 2020.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Parisi, seconded by Dr. Ferris. Roll call, please.
Mr. Parisi?
Yes.
Mr. Ferris?
Yes.
Dr. Bidwell?
Yes.
Mr. Headley?
Yes.
Mr. Maselli?
No.
Mr. Homuth?
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore?
Yes. Thank you for your hard work on this.
Thank you, Dean.
I just wanted to answer questions. Okay, next item on our agenda then are committee reports. Have any committees met since the last meeting, or do any committees have anything to report? Okay. All right, if not, then we will entertain a move to adjourn. So moved.
Second?
Motion by Dr. Ferris, seconded by Dr. Bidwell. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ferris?
Yes.
Dr. Bidwell?
Yes.
Mr. Parisi?
Yes.
Mr. Maselli?
Yes.
Mr. Homuth?
Yes.
Mr. Headley?
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore?
Yes.